Greetings my friends, and welcome to a brand new Nations Guide. Today we're going to be looking at Morocco. Now we haven't been to a Nations Guide for quite a while, but I thought we'd bring it back here. We've done quite a few now, but as you can see, Morocco is going to be quite a challenge. Now we're going to be looking at a number of factors. That includes those sort of the starting resources you have. That includes the buildings and also the natural resources. We're also looking at things like enemies and potential allies, trade, armies, units, everything you can possibly think of here to try and get a Moroccan campaign underway. I'm not sure if any of you might have done a Moroccan campaign. I would be very interested to find out those of you who have and how you did, what your sort of disadvantages were when you were tackling it. But we're going to have a closer look at where we start. Let's look at the topography here of the land you start with. You can see it's a vast land here, all the way from East Atlantic all the way here to the Mediterranean Sea. That's a huge land mass. But as you can possibly see here, there is very little in terms of the way of towns, villages, resources, in terms of where you can get those natural resources. You do have a mine here, Imini mines here, the iron, but it's only low yield. I believe what's going to bring in here is 875, but still every single bit counts here. And of course you do have a shipyard here. Now it's debatable whether that could be a trade port. A shipyard, of course, because other than the Barbary States and of course Spain here as well in the north, there's not a lot of trade around unless you were to convert it and probably link to this trade. Now as you can see, this trade line here is very lucrative indeed, with the United Provinces of Portugal. Of course, Portugal, a close nation as well to the Mughal Empire, which is only going to get bigger. The Mughal or Maratha, whoever wins that tussle there on the subcontinent, is going to be producing and bringing in a huge amount of trade. France, of course, as France grows much stronger, that will also increase trade flowing from and to and from the different trade nodes. So there's a possibility of moving that into a trade port. However, of course, you are going to need ships, and that means keeping a ship port. Now you do have Casablanca here, but that, of course, will eventually be probably a massive trade port or shipyard. But can you wait? No, you really can't, my friend. So that's another decision you have to consider here. What would you want that to be? Would you like to have it be a shipyard here and sort of try and trade overland, try and bring in some? But realistically, I'm thinking probably a trade port is going to be far more beneficial in the long term, because it's going to allow you, the economy is going to have to be priority. So that's going to have to bring in the money you're going to need to be able to build your armies and indeed your ships later on. Of course, then you've got the farm here. Average yield not too bad here in Bajad. Then we've got, of course, Fez here. It's got a craft workshop weavers. Now that could be quite lucrative in the long run here. 525 here and plus 7 to the wealth of the region. We've also got another peasant farm here in Sif, and again only 100 to the regional wealth, but still adds to the population growth as well. And another one here, I imagine that's probably of similar value, no, a little bit more lucrative in terms of this, because of course it's sheep here, and here it looks like it's corn, so that's excellent. So again, that really seems to be the complete sum amount of what you've got here in terms of your natural resources. Very limited indeed. A huge region, but very limited, very packed around Tangier here. Now as you can see, fortunately Tangier is quite the city. It really is, and it's right there for the upgrading. And we'll be taking a close look right now what you can get here. Now of course you don't start off with any barracks at all. You can see these buildings aren't upgraded at all, no barracks at all. So again, provincial barracks is going to be absolutely crucial to get that up and running straight away, because it's going to give you plug bayonet research and carbines. But as you can probably tell, there is no research facilities. So again, that is going to be something you have to decide to do. Are you going to have to potentially lose a resource in terms of economic resource to then open up a research facility to be able to get off barracks here, because the barracks aren't going to bring anything into you here at all. All they're going to do is research, but you can't obviously use it. Obviously increases your recruitment capacity and also, of course, your points per turn for military technologies, but you don't have any research facilities at all. So there's a chance you might have to sacrifice your economic sort of short term to help in the long term. Now, of course, if you were to turn this into a trade port, that might offset the loss of the economic potential of one of these particular buildings here. So that's, of course, something you've got to consider as well. So again, we're going to look closer at the research of what units you can get. Of course, you do have a cannon foundry to start with, but again, the research here, it doesn't produce you anything at all in terms of that, apart from research, which you can't do. Does it improve grenades? So that'd be excellent to use. Of course, you've got the Bay's Mansion, which is the sort of the heart of it here. What does it? Oh, look at that. Now, Barbary pirates, desert warriors, of course, Amazons, and no camel nomads, and Shatmal camel gunners. Now, the Barbary pirates are pretty good hand-to-hand, but they're not going to stick around for very long. Probably the desert warriors and the camels are going to camel nomads, and the camel gunners are going to be probably the backbone of your army for the foreseeable future. You can always go down to the Pasha's Palace. That's going to give you additional research here, but again, it's only going to give you the same units, but it will increase your unit capacity here of recruitment. So that will again add more to what you can recruit. Then we've got the School of Calligraphers. Again, that's of happiness and some additional wealth. And of course, then we've got set up from fortifications. We're not really going to be looking at that just yet. But again, as I said, the backbone of your army is going to be these units here. These 5 units. And actually, the Amazons aren't too bad. We only get 6 of them in militia. Then you've got the Desert Warriors, which are not of the finest. And the Camel Gunners aren't too bad at all. But you can get 10 of those. Now they would probably be pretty good on the battlefield if you're good at manoeuvring your cavalry around. And of course you've got the Camel Nomads. Again, 10 of those. They're not too bad either in a charge bonus or melee defense or melee attack. They're pretty powerful. So again, looking at that, these are going to be the sort of the backbone. Again, Barbary pirates would probably be good as more of a dare I say, a bullet sponge, something that's almost a unit that would go in front of your troops to sort of absorb the initial shock of whoever you're fighting, particularly if you're going against Spain, which we'll look at in greater detail soon. And of course, infrastructure. Actually got basic roads, but cobbled roads I think would probably be hugely beneficial to start with. It's going to increase your town wealth, also your movement speed, but also just bringing that additional trade is going to be beneficial here. Eventually that'll pay for itself. Now your army, you do have a general, of course, not too bad there, of course. You've got camel nomads and then 2 desert warriors, Orta, not the finest to start with. And we do have here an Eastern scholar, now not too bad at all, and pious. -5 to religious unrest, that wouldn't be too bad at all. So, of course, he's just going to be sat there. Now, you could, of course, send him outwards, but to be honest with you, if you've got a scholar and you've got the ability to be able to make a school, I would definitely put that into it, because the research and technology is going to be absolutely vital, and in the long run, it will pay dividends to potentially convert one of these into a school and take that initial sort of short-term economic hit to get the school up, because eventually the school will be able to move and take and research economic research, and that will again boost and help improve your economy greatly. It really, really will. Now, there's something else in here. Of course, the navy you start with is very, very light indeed. You've got a 5th rate here, but the rest are effectively galleys, which are no better than sloops. I mean, look at that. You've just got 16 men here, but look at the firepower. It's 52. It's just, maneuverability is incredibly high, but they're not going to do any damage to anything. Now again, you can't recruit anything apart from the light galley. I don't think, again, getting these naval facilities is going to be very, very tough. But that'll take you up to an admiral's flagship here and a bomb ketch. So again, even if you upgraded this, it's not going to give you a huge amount of options. So I think research is going to be crucial, absolutely crucial, to what you're going to decide to do here. And also probably recruiting some additional. We're going to recruit one at a time. An incredibly tough ask. Now that we've dealt with the sort of initial, and you've also got here this Hashishin as well. Oh, look at that, +1 to subterfuge as well. Excellent. Now he is going to prove absolutely vital in where you might want to go. Now, of course, if we're discussing enemies and allies, the most immediate choice you're going to be looking at for an enemy is going to be Spain. Now, Spain in the north here is going to be very, very powerful indeed. Now, although they're scattered between Italy and sort of Central Europe, or Western Europe, should I say, they're still going to be a very, very tough ask indeed. Now, of course, with Gibraltar just across the border here, and you've got a shipyard here in Sandy Bay. Of course, look at the recruitment they can get there, absolutely incredible. Gibraltar would be quite the jump here. Now, you could probably take Gibraltar right off the march, and that really would be a risky move, because you would probably bring down the ire of Spain immediately, and they've got, of course, this powerhouse production centre here in Madrid, where they could probably outproduce you quite quickly in terms of the quality at least. But if you were to take Gibraltar, you would control Gibraltar Straits. You could probably convert this either into, or keep this as a shipyard and convert this into a trade port. And that would probably hold that. Whether you be able to hold Gibraltar for very long, that's the key question. You would have to build up quite the army. By the time you've built up an army that would be even remotely near the quality to be able to take Spain, then again, but it might be worth the risk. You never know. It might be worth the risk, my friends. That's one option, is to take Gibraltar. The other is to move eastwards and look at the Barbary States. Now, of course, you're at peace with the Barbary States, but they are pirates. So if you were to take them out, it would look very favourable on diplomatic status. Very, 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 very conscious of that at all times. Now, Iran here, of course, got a shipyard. You've got Algiers, but the absolute oh, look at that. They've got, I might have an average there, but the crown jewel, of course, is Tunis. If you would get Tunis here in the Mediterranean, that would give you two rather large production centres, even Tripoli as well. Gathering all of sort of North Africa under one Moroccan wing here would be incredible. It really would. Even sort of touching on to the Ottoman Empire, which again is vast. If we could tap into the Ottoman Empire's huge trade resources, that would be an absolute wonder. But perhaps taking the rest of North Africa would give you that additional benefit here. Again, more shipyards which can be converted into trade nodes. Ceuta is a trade port here. There's every possibility. Now, if you could keep Spain happy and keep them away from you for a while, then there's every chance that you'd be able to take Algiers and Tunis. But again, it's probably send your Hashishin to Algiers. You know what's in Gibraltar. You can see Gibraltar. That's the key of it. You don't know what's in Madrid, but you can probably guess it's going to be quite a powerful army. One that would probably absolutely just push past yours in no time. I think recruitment is going to be absolutely key, and that's going to be camel nomads and camel gunners. They're going to be the backbone of your army, especially against the Spanish, keeping them on their toes and being able to move in and out, striking hard. Again, my advice would be to start that recruitment drive, even if it's just one here, and then in the long run recruiting the provincial barracks to get an additional training slot, and even upgrading to the Pasha's Palace to get an additional 2 training recruitment slots in here. That would probably be the best, because that would at least give you the option then to start increasing your army size considerably. Probably getting these Amazonians as well, they would be a huge benefit as well. The morale here though, look at the morale here, these gunners and these camel nomads, not very good at all. As soon as they're shot at, they're going to run. But these nomads, they can hold up quite well. So you're going to have to mix and match. You're going to really have to play that game of mixing and matching and building, creating the armies that's going to do the most damage on the given circumstance. When you're against the Barbary States, are you going to need a very powerful army? Probably not. Are you going to need a powerful army against Spain? Absolutely. So again, finding that right balance is going to be key. Now we've looked at our sort of immediate neighbours, because you can't really look. I mean, Portugal, of course, would be a potential option. Now, I mean, if you were really daring and you really wanted to move against Portugal, you could probably send this ship in and just scout Portugal. Is it going to be heavily guarded? Probably not. Are you going to be able to get the forces up in time before Portugal starts to recruit? Perhaps, but that would be a daring mission. But if you were to take it, it would definitely give you a massive trade port in Porto, it'd give you Corvella here, and then you'd have a school as well. You'd also have the farmlands, but that might push Spain into a little bit of ire here, because they've probably got their eyes on it as well. Even look, the vineyards here as well in Douro. So again, Portugal could be another option. Mustn't look past that at all. And again, as I was saying, Madrid perhaps might be a little bit over the mark here. Maybe I'll be able to do that. Personally, if it was me, I'd probably be looking at Portugal, and I'd be looking at the Barbary States. But again, building up an army and also keeping an army in place to guard in case Spain moved against you, that would be a pretty tough ask. Now, let's have a look at some details of what you actually got. You've got 9,000 available funds, which is pretty good. But again, that looks a lot, but for what you've got to do, it's not going to be a lot to start with at least. But if you invest it wisely, it will pay dividends in the long run. Let's have a look at what we've got here. So again, oh good grief, our -10 diplomatic relations for our Sultan and -1 to prestige. Now the diplomatic relations is going to be the problem. There's the problem right there. Now we're at war with pirates, of course. Our army upkeep is horrific. Our navy upkeep is horrific. We've only got 978 coming in here. So something's amiss here. It could be that our cabinet is horrifically bad, if we're looking at that. The only thing that's keeping us afloat here is this. So we've got 1,167 income. That's not too bad at all. So that means next turn, if you spend nothing, you'll have over 10,000 in the bank. But however, it's going to drain pretty quick with this sort of outgoings here. Of course, meager prosperity, prestige rank moderate, not too bad. Absolute monarchy, which is crucial here in this particular thing here now. Against tax levels, you might have to push. Mind you, if you lower the tax levels and nobility, it's going to increase. So the amount of money flowing through the system, as it were, because of course the nobility's got more money to spend. Maybe keeping the lower classes at this level also, but we want to try and get that money flowing. So there's a potential you might want to leave taxes for a while, maybe even lower the nobility taxes. This will hurt you in the long run here in the income. So if you pop it down here, 367, but again, that will probably increase, yes indeed. As you can probably see here. Yeah, see, income is 855, but again, you've got growth here and also in the population. So that might just be what might be beneficial here. The tax burden is pretty low, but you've already got growth in here. If you put the tax level back to what it was, is the growth level going to be the same? No, -3. So there's your key thing to when you're starting. Perhaps policy would have reduced the tax levels for the nobility, keep it up here for the low classes. It's going to 856, but it's going to start growth. The growth's going to start here. Could even probably look that down to there. I wonder what that would do to growth. No, still 2, but that's increased here. But the nobility is what's going to bring in the money, and now all the growth's already started here. We're trying to build that up. Tax income is, of course, gone down. Could always change the tax policy. We don't do that. We've just done that just now. Ministers. Now, the treasury actually isn't too bad. I do take it back, but look at some of the ministers you've got here, and especially here. Stallholder. Now he could be pretty good at again treasury. Treasury minister, good grief, not very good. See now, I don't understand that, because why would you have him as your minister? There's your problem. It's -2. For the treasury management administration. He's not very good there at all. He's good for the navy, good for management overall. He's pretty good. He's got +3 management, but for -2 for management treasury, there's your problem. Justice, again, not very good at all. Army not too bad. -1 for management here, but +1 to management here. And the navy, harsh reputation. Got some very good management skills, but they don't really suit their roles. Now, there's a good. Now, he would be perfect for the treasury. You'd probably see a vast increase and a huge difference if he was in charge. So, of course, you could probably put him into this role here, because you're an absolute monarchy. You could swap them straight out, and you'd probably see a difference. Not this turn, but next turn, you'd probably see a difference in here, because look at the difference here. It's +4, +4, +2. Already an increase. Now what about here? Stallholder again, bon voyant. Harsh reputation. So he'd be pretty good in justice. But Justice is nothing at the moment here. What we want to do is reduce the town cost, repression in the theatre. Not really, but he would be probably pretty good in any role, to be honest with you. And he would be a very good. And he's 28 as well. And we've got army here. That's not bad at all there, but I wonder if he'd increase this. Yes, look at that, -4, of course, look at that, straight away the difference is noticeable, because you're putting the right people in the right jobs, and that's absolutely crucial. Now, tactician, look, +1 to army management, but this gentleman is probably better in the long term, but do we have anybody that can, is a patron for, so, this gentleman would probably be perfect here for the navy. What difference would he make to the navy? Actually better. Not too bad at all. So again, he's gone up 1 star because he's perfect for the role. Do we have anybody here at all? The tactician and jughead. It's going to be no tactician. No, we don't. So the head here is going to have to. Unfortunately, he's not the best. He's quite young, but he's not the best here for diplomatic. So diplomatic status is going to suffer because of it. But we've already. Plus, we've come for reform. I don't think he'd be any better here in justice. We might have to wait for additional candidates to come in, but we've already improved things here. Now I know it's not noticeable straight away, but next turn it should be noticeable indeed. And of course, we don't have any trade at all. But let's have a look now at diplomatic relations. Everybody's indifferent or hostile to us. Now hostile here is Spain. They really don't like us at all. There's a chance you might be able to open up the trade here because they're the only ones who are direct land linked to yourselves. And also the Barbary States, if I'm not, yes, Barbary States will probably have some trade with you. But again, look, all this trade is cut off because you don't have the trade port. You can't access anything at all. A lot of people are some are unfriendly here, some are indifferent. Mughal Empire are friendly. So if you could get trade off the Mughal Empire, you'd have this directly coming through here. Mughal Empire, there it is. You'd have trade. So this converting as a trade node already sounds pretty good. You'd probably get a trade with the Mughal Empire, and straight away you'd have trade coming in here. Start to grow that empire as quickly as you can, my friends. And of course, we've got nothing in here at all. We cannot do anything here. You need a school. So trade port here, and I think converting one of these into a school is going to be absolutely crucial, unless you have the daring do here and you move against Portugal and you grab this school here in Evora. Now that really would be something to see that, it really would. But getting that army up to not only hold off Spain, which is inevitably going to come for you, and particularly taking Portugal, that would be something to see. Unless you were to really build quite a large army and then sort of hunker down, that's another option you could do, and basically just wait it out, see how the armies go, see how things pan out here in Spain and Portugal, because eventually they'll probably come to a tussle, or if they don't, maybe picking the right spot to strike. But that, my friends, is pretty much what we have here. Of course, keeping an eye on the trade here, but we've got no trade coming in at all. That's the real problem you've got at the moment, is that. And of course, then looking farther afield, you might be able to get some of these ships into the trade nodes. So sending some ships into some of the trade nodes, perhaps into the Ivory Coast, into the Straits of Madagascar, just keeping your powder dry, not starting any wars, not getting involved in any conflicts, might allow you to get some trade flowing in through these here in the Ivory Coast, and getting in that really nice trade from ivory and spices, etc. That might be where you might get your money from. But of course, you're going to need a trade node which to do that. So getting this trade, making this a trade port, I think is going to be pretty vital, to be honest with you. And then tapping into the trade, not only from other countries, but moving your ships into those trade nodes is going to be, and also keeping a close eye probably on Spain. That's going to be probably the most crucial thing you can possibly do. But my friends, I hope you've enjoyed this brief nation's guide here for Morocco. Let me know if you've ever played Morocco. I'd be fascinated to know how you got on. As always, my friends, please keep your comments coming down below. As always, please be safe, especially in these times, my friends. Look after yourselves. But until next time, bye for now.